Mr.
Excellent. Everybody's here, 6:30. Call the meeting to order. Welcome to our meeting of the Winooski DRB. We've got a pretty light agenda tonight, so hopefully we won't be here super late. I'm Kevin Lumpkin. I'm the chair of the DRB. We have the full board plus two alternates here tonight. Vice Chair Matt Basowitz, Secretary Harlan Miller, members David Weisberger, Aaron Guyette, Elsie Goodrich, and Caitlin Hayes are all with us tonight. First item on the agenda is changes to the agenda. Anybody have any changes to the agenda? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Every public meeting in Vermont is required to have a public comment section. It's for raising concerns aside from what's on the normal agenda, things you want us as the DRB to know. Never had a public comment before, but tonight could be the first one. Anybody want to make a public comment? Doug Weston's here. We can't promote him, can we? Our former chair, Doug Weston, is in the attendees list. That's exciting.
That's a different Doug, actually.
Oh, okay.
Johnson was our former chair.
Never mind. No public comment. We're going to move on to approve previous meeting minutes. They are posted online through the Agenda Center. Feel free to look at them. Any comments, corrections, concerns with the former meeting minutes? We'll entertain a motion to approve them. Motion by David, second by Harland. All in favor signify by raising your hand or raising your virtual hand with a little emote. All opposed? All abstaining? See Matt abstaining because he wasn't here. Looks like the motion carries with one abstention. The previous meeting minutes are approved. Now we've got our only substantive agenda item for the evening, which is a public hearing for a conditional use / dimensional waiver request at 113 North Street. I believe we have some applicants here. Do we only have applicants here? Or do we also have adjoiners / neighbors? So
the applicant is here. Sarah Roberts is here, and Chantal is an adjacent property owner who is here as well. Did not get an indication whether or not they're interested in speaking or just listening, but they will. If you are interested in speaking for the members of the public that are here, you can use the raise hand feature or indicate in the chat that you're interested in providing comments, and we can unmute you at the appropriate time. But while Sarah is coming over, I can just do a quick introduction here on the project. This is showing up as a conditional use and dimensional waiver. The reason it shows up as a conditional use is because this is a pre-existing non-conforming lot and also a pre-existing non-conforming structure. And as such, a dimensional waiver can be granted, but it has to go through the conditional use process. So that is why you have before you a memo from me outlining both the conditional use and the standards that this project, the standards of the conditional use for this project, and then also a waiver memo outlining the standards of the waiver. So this is a property located at 113 North Street. It is in our residential A zoning district, which has a minimum lot size of 75 feet of frontage, 100 feet of depth, and 10,000 square feet of area. This property is about 60 feet wide, about 125 feet deep, and about 7,500 square feet. So it is a non-conforming lot in that regard. The setbacks for this property are also based on the residential A zoning district. It's 15 feet for the side and rear yards and 20 feet for the front yard setback. It has a 40% lot coverage maximum. Based on those standards, the house that's already developed on the property is within those side yard setbacks. So it's a non-conforming structure as well, which is what's necessitating the waiver. The proposal that was provided by the applicant, included in the agenda packet tonight, is basically, and I'll let Sarah talk here as well, but in essence, what we have is an existing house. The only access currently is through the front door on the house, the side of the house that fronts onto North Street. So they're looking to install another door on the side and also to basically put a porch, a roof over that doorway and some stairs to get to the door. That new area will further encroach into the side yard setback, but will still remain a little over 10 feet from the property line, which is consistent with the residential B and residential C zoning districts, which are just south of this property and just to the west of this property. So I provided a zoning map to show kind of the mix of zoning districts in this area for the context of whether or not this would be consistent with adjacent properties in a similar context. So that's what you have before you tonight, is just the encroachment into that side yard setback for the purpose of constructing this porch and side door. So with that, I will end my introduction and allow the applicant to as well.
Great. Can I just jump in before you start? Just know that by speaking, you are swearing or affirming that what you say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury. Normally, we do a swearing in thing if we were in person, but we don't do that over Zoom. It's just easier to do it this way. That applies to any adjoiners/neighbors who want to speak as well. Just so everyone knows, we normally allow the applicant to present their project, and then anyone else who is present who wants to make comments, ask questions, raise concerns, feel free to type in the chat, raise your hand, let us know that you'd like to do that, and we'll elevate you as a presenter. So you're here with us in this little Brady Bunch format, and we'll hear from you then. So take it away.
Thank you. So I think that Eric's description was pretty accurate. We want to have our home have two ways that we can enter and exit. So an additional entrance beyond what we have right now, which is the front door. We are hoping to have this through the side door, which will connect the driveway to the home. And the only portion that will extend beyond the footprint of the house that is there currently is a porch, just so that we can get in the door, basically. That'll be covered so that to protect from snow and weather. And it'll kind of, currently there's a driveway and then an area of grass and then the side of the house. So the porch will cover a small area of the grass.
I'm seeing something about a new walkway as well.
For a new walkway. Oh, hi, this is Chris, by the way, Chris Ramos. So no plans for a new walkway. There will be steps going up to the landing that goes to the door from both ends of that porch landing, but no additional walkway. It'll sort of just be connected to the existing driveway is the plan.
So Kevin, the project will actually eliminate an existing walkway based on the provided. So it'll just be there's currently a walkway from the sidewalk at North Street and then one off the driveway that leads to the front door. The site plan shows that the walkway from the driveway being removed and also a section of pavement in the back being removed. So while the property exceeds the maximum lot coverage currently by about 5%, this will actually they will be adding some new square footage, but they will be reducing the square footage in other areas to bring the lot coverage down below what it currently is. So they will be reducing that level of nonconformity as well.
Am I seeing correctly that you've got a fence along the south side, just to the south of the driveway?
We do. We've got I think a 3-foot chain link fence. Actually, it's not chain link on
part
that
wood
side.
and then part
chain link and then part 3-foot, wood fence. And I believe that is, I'm not sure if that's on our property or the neighbor's property or if it's right in between.
It's on the property line.
Yeah.
And also, sorry to jump in. I can, I have all the agenda materials I can bring up on my screen as well if you want to see any of those specifically.
I'm just seeing the fence on the diagram. Just wanted to ask about it. Other questions from folks on the DRB? I'm gonna mute myself so I stop talking.
Did you consider any other locations for the second entry? I see that the driveway seems to curve around the back of the house. Would it have been feasible to put something at the back there?
Actually, our initial consideration was through the back of the house. As far as the interior room layout of the house, with the help from an architect, considering a couple of options, the side proved to be just a lot more practical for working it into an actual mudroom area, as opposed to completely rearranging a bathroom and a bedroom where it's carpeted in the back, working it through the side where there's already kind of a floor that's wood and already a room that's sort of movable, more easily movable than through the back. But we did consider both those options. So sort of the interior of the house layout kind of dictated the side as being more practical, as well as its connection to the driveway that's already there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from folks on the DRB? All right, I think we've exhausted all of our questions. Seems pretty straightforward. You've explained it well. So what I'd propose to do is we'll put you back down to an attendee, and anyone who is present who wants to comment or ask a question or anything, just let us know by raising your hand or commenting in the chat. Eric, can you take care of that swap? Thanks, love your background, very festive.
Yep, we'll take care of that. Well, actually, I've got Paul Sarn, the communications coordinator for the city, is here as well, taking care of the background stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul, in the background, taking care of the background and in the background. So are we seeing any comments from our two observers, Chantal and Douglas?
Chantal has been given the ability to unmute and looks like has unmuted. So don't know if there's any comments specifically from Chantal.
No, I don't have any issues with it.
Great. Just wanted to make sure that you didn't want to say anything and we were preventing you from doing that. So thank you very much. Oh, we've muted you again. And Mr. Weston, any comments, questions, concerns? I'm thinking no.
Doesn't appear to have any comments.
So use the chat or the raise hand function if you want to be recognized. Oh, I see a raised hand.
He has raised his hand.
Okay. No, I was just really wanted to listen in on somebody else's application for a zoning permit. It's not a permit, the conditional use thing. Of course, I've been fighting my George Street neighbor here for a while, and we're in court right now. But I'm just wondering why he needs a conditional use for a. Is it because he's in the RA zone that they need a conditional use to do this? I mean, there seems to be plenty of side yard to do this without even going through the conditional use thing. And the other thing,
I would defer to Eric to answer that. My understanding is that it's something to do with the setbacks in this particular part of town. But that's something that I would encourage you to follow up with Eric on, kind of one-on-one. Eric's the expert on the code, and we're more, once it gets to us, it's already been determined that something we need to do, like a conditional use. But that initial determination of whether it requires a conditional use or not, that's more Eric's expertise. And Eric's available to you all the time. I would encourage you to follow up with him directly. But Eric, do you have a quick answer to that?
Yeah, so I think the quick-ish answer is that it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. because the house is already built in the existing setbacks, and to further expand that nonconformity, it's identified as a conditional use for the purposes of granting the waiver. And that is outlined in section 4.9 of our regulations. So it's going through the conditional use solely for the purpose of being able to grant the waiver.
Okay.
Eric, if it wasn't non-conforming, it would be an administrative approval for a waiver grant like this, or not?
No. So the waiver, any waiver is requires DRB approval. Any dimensional waiver requires that. So because it's both a non-conforming structure in the setbacks and because further encroaching into the side yard setback that exists is why it requires the waiver. If this and that's also a function of it being in the residential A zoning district with the 15-foot side yard setback. If this was in the residential B or residential C, the side yard setbacks are only 10 feet. Therefore, this would not be non-conforming structure, and the addition of the porch would be approved administratively because it's still it still is outside of that. It's still more than 10 feet away from the property boundary.
This is like a mega waiver request because we've got multiple dimensions of nonconformity. So it's the normal waiver analysis plus the conditional use factors.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand as much as I can about all this whole process.
You know, we learn something, I think, every meeting. So you're learning along with us, and we certainly appreciate you listening in and wish you well in your continued battles in the judiciary.
Well, let's hope for the best on my side anyway.
Well, on behalf of the legal profession, we certainly thank you.
We're donating well, yes.
All right. I think we've gone through the normal aspects of our meeting. We've heard from the applicants. We've heard from any other folks. Anybody on the DRB have anything else on this topic before we move on to the rest of our agenda and enter deliberative session?
If I may as well, unless there's other comments, I also want to do the part of the meeting that you enjoy the most, Kevin, and reading the list of exhibits into the record for the.
Can't you just do that while we're in deliberative session?
Well, but then nobody hears what will be the exhibits.
Do I still have to initial them all if you read them into the record?
You still have to initial them all. Yes.
All right.
This should be a fairly quick list, though. So tonight for our exhibits, as Exhibit A, we have the zoning application, including the site plan, architectural elevations, and the narrative for the waiver. Exhibit B is the notice of the public hearing that was posted at the property. Exhibit C is photos of said property posting. Exhibit D is the public hearing notice that was published in the paper. Exhibit E is proof of that publication. Exhibit F is the memo that was sent to the adjacent property owners. Exhibit G is the list of the property owners receiving the notification of the waiver. Exhibit H is the agenda for tonight's meeting. Exhibit I is the memo from me to you all on the waiver request. Exhibit J is the memo from me to you all on the conditional use standards. Exhibit K is the zoning map that was included. Exhibit L is the aerial imagery map that was included. And Exhibit M will be the sign-in sheet from tonight's meeting. That is all.
Excellent. Moving on to agenda item 6, city updates. What's new?
I have no specific updates at this time. City council's in the budgeting process. So that's taking up a lot of our time right now, but nothing significant to report at this point.
Awesome. Any other business?
As of right now, our next meeting is scheduled for January 21st in 2021. The deadline to get on that agenda is next Wednesday. So I have not received anything to date. And the reason it's Wednesday is because City Hall will have different hours on Thursday. I think we're only open half day next Thursday, and then we're closed on next Friday. So to make the cutoff is next Wednesday.
Great. hope we have something, because that day's a palindrome. We've got to meet and talk about that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so I think at this point, for the benefit of the folks who are watching, what we normally do now is we adjourn the public portion of our meeting. We have a different secret Zoom link that we're all going to get on to enter the deliberative session, which is closed to the public. And then we issue our decision in writing. We have a statutory deadline of 45 days. We normally beat that by a couple weeks, and Eric will let the applicant and I think all adjoiners know of that decision.
That's correct.
Excellent.
Anybody that participated in the meeting.
Great. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. See a motion by Caitlin. Any seconds? Second by Harlan/Matt. All in favor? Raise your hand. Looks unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for a 21-minute meeting. See you all in deliberative session.
All right. Yep. See y'all soon.